Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Spinach Social Hour. My name is Stefan Kaplan, and it is an absolute pleasure to be here with everyone this morning. I am so excited this morning for this show. It is beyond belief. I am a social media and visual strategist and who has worked with the likes of the Pulitzer Prizes, AARP, the Jackson Charitable Foundation, Encore.org, and I also work with my esteemed colleague Sri Srinivasan and his DigiMentors group doing live stream productions and many other things around the world. So once again, welcome to the Spinach Social Hour. The Spinach Social Hour is a labor of love born out of care and concern for our photo community. And when this pandemic hit, I decided that I needed to do something to help our photo community. I needed to reach out and get their work out there and get their names out there and help because they were being severely affected by this pandemic and the resulting the economic crisis. So the Spinach Social Hour was developed as a full-fledged storytelling platform for me to bring on photographers around the world each and every week. We've been doing this now for 28 weeks. I can't believe it, 28 weeks. But what concerns me the most is that and what I'm so happy about, is being and premiering this week on LinkedIn. So it is an honor to be on LinkedIn, and thank you, LinkedIn family, for having us. And I hope you enjoy each and every week with the Spinach Social Hour. So today's guest and today's guest is Stefan Falke, a great photographer based out of New York here. And today's show is La Frontera, artists from the U.S. Mexican border. It is going to be a great show. But first, I'd like to tell you about my sponsor, and that is Real Talk Live from the Barn. Real Talk Live from the Barn is a show I produce with Emilio Pardo, who's a visionary brand strategist. And it is a great show dealing with the economy and the COVID crisis and everything else, giving you so much insight from thought leaders around the country and the world.
Hi there. Welcome to Real Talk Live at the Barn. My name is Emilio Pardo, and I am...
So, Emilio and I will have a new show in about 2 weeks, so please look forward to it. But we are here today to give the build-up for Stefan Falke that he deserves. So, we are going to show some of his work here. Please enjoy it and learn about Stefan. Stefan Falke was born and raised in Paderborn, Germany. More interested in creating images than studying civil engineering, he started working as a photographer's assistant in Munich and later as a silk screen printer in Hamburg. Still, his dream was to become a photojournalist. By the mid-90s, major film studios were hiring Stefan as a set photographer for movies filmed in Europe and Africa. He credits his time for working on movie sets with my most important time for becoming a working photographer. During that period, Stefan also started photographing a stilt walking school in the Caribbean, which resulted in both a book and exhibition titled Moco Jumbies, The Dancing Spirits of Trinidad. For his current and ongoing project, La Frontera, Artists Along the U.S. Mexican Border, Stefan has photographed about 200 artists on both sides of the 2,000-mile-long Mexican-U.S. border to spotlight the vibrant culture of this binational region in stark contrast to the violence and illegal immigration cited by politicians. In the 12 years since La Frontera began, it has had 18 international exhibitions, a book, and wide coverage by major media around the world. Stefan is a member of a German photo agency, Life, and represented by Redux in the US. Everybody, please help me welcome Stefan Falke. Hello, Stefan.
Hello. Good morning.
How are you?
I'm very good. Thanks for having me on the show.
Oh,
Really excited to be here.
Thank you for being here. And thank you to our friend Claudia Steinberg for connecting us, another great photographer.
Claudia Paul.
Oh, we have a Claudia on the show. We have a Claudia on the show, and we have Claudia Paul. Thank you. So anyway, I saw your body of work, and instantly I knew that I had to have you on this show to let everybody know about your journey and let everybody know about your work. So why don't we begin? We have a bunch of other guests that we're going to bring on, but why don't we begin by letting you introduce yourself, besides what I said about you, and tell people a little more about yourself.
Yeah, hi everybody. Really excited to be here. If you detect an accent, I was born and raised in Germany. Moved to New York for a while in the 80s, came back to Germany in the 90s, and moved here for good in 2002, I think. 2002, yes. And, I grew up in a country, Germany was divided between East and West. And so my generation, being German, is just having a border. That we just have a border in our heads. I mean, we just grew up with that. Mm-hmm. So when I came to New York and kept reading about the U.S. Mexico border, it was just a natural interest in it. And even more so, which I discovered during working on the project, the love for binational areas around the world is very big in me, because even in living in Germany, when I left my parents' home, I went straight to a city called Aachen, which is in the area of Holland and Belgium. I would buy tobacco in Holland in the morning and drink beer in Belgium in the evening, and study during the day in Germany.
Sounds good to me.
Yeah, so I always think people who live near another culture have an advantage. Mm-hmm. So the U.S. Mexican border and the history of it. It's just an enormously interesting area just for that reason.
Yeah.
But the border, the bad news about the border really interested me, because I'm always very suspicious when the media and especially the politicians talk down on a certain area for a period of time, because it works. I mean, after a while, people just think bad about a region that was talked bad about for many years. Yeah. So one of those areas in the world I was thinking about first was Palestine and Israel. So, but I'm not connected to, and geographically just too far away. It just was a natural thing to focus on the Mexican border.
Right.
So there I went. I mean, it was.
And there you went, and now here we are.
Obama's election, November 4th. That's when I ended up in Tijuana in a hotel where I was the only guest, because things were really bad back then. Drug wars raging, and so-called drug wars, and it was very spooky and very, but it was literally like waking up in the morning and say to myself, I got to go to Mexico, or to the border.
Well, if I may, it attracted me, your body of work, because out of sheer care and concern also for Mexico and its people, because the way the country has been demonized in so many ways is horrible. And it's an absolute pleasure to have a great storyteller such as yourself here, along with our other guests that we're going to bring on. And, I come from a photo editing background. I was at the New York Times for 20 years as the supervising photo editor for the Wire service. And I saw your work, and I couldn't wait to get down, to edit it down for today, to show everybody all of that you've done over 8 years. So we're going to concentrate on this body of work, because you have a lot of other work, and that's for another show. But right now, what I want to do is I want to bring on some of our guests that are going to contribute to all of this. And we have the wonderful guest from Ciudad Juarez, and we are going to bring her on, Monica Lozano.
Hello.
Welcome, Monica. What an honor.
Hello. Good to see you. Good morning.
Oh, good morning to you. I hope it's a beautiful morning where you are. I hope you are well.
I am.
Stefan, I meant to ask you this at the very beginning too. I'm going to ask everybody at once when I bring them on. Let's also bring on Alonso and Patty. Alonso Elias and Patty Fontes from. Tell everybody where you're from right now.
We're from Mexicali, Baja California, Mexico.
That's right. That's right. And then we're also going to bring on a couple of great journalists that we have with us. We're going to bring on Rosalind Bernstein. Good morning, Roz.
From Soho, just from Soho.
Soho. We're dealing with the arts here. So it's
Hola, desde
pleasure.
Chelsea.
And then, of course, I'm going to bring on Claudia Steinberg, not Claudia Paul.
Good morning.
Good morning, Claudia. Good morning. Good morning to everyone. Good morning to everyone. I'm going to move Alonzo and Patty to the center there. I like the couple shot in the middle there. That's one of the magic things about StreamYard, being able to do this show through the magical StreamYard, which is my platform of choice. Shout out to the StreamYard family and this revolutionary platform that's allowing me to stream like this. But first of all, let me ask everybody one by one as a group, and then we'll go one by one. How is everybody doing this morning, dealing with this pandemic and everything else? Stefan, briefly.
Well, we're hanging in there. We are healthy, so, and all families are healthy. I personally got really busy. Sitting around is not exactly my thing in photography. So I shot this series called Keep Going New York, because I'm always a strong supporter of New York City, which gave me so much in my life. And, we keep going.
Well, that's the important thing. We all have to keep going, help each other, support each other, and wear our masks. Monica, how are you? Monica, how are you doing?
I am good. I'm good, running around as well. And it's been a crazy road with the kids, a 3-year-old and a 6-year-old, and homeschooling. It's a big one, but we're holding on, and I don't know, just day by day. That's what I have to say.
But everybody's healthy.
Yeah, everybody's healthy.
Good. Thank God. Great. Claudia, how are you holding up with this pandemic right now?
Well, I was very lucky that the entire summer I was able to be in a beach shack in Rockaway.
Oh, nice.
Freelancer set up to working remotely. That's what I've done for 40 years.
Okay.
And so that was not a big change. And now I'm back in Manhattan since the last few days. And I'm happy to be back in my beloved wounded city, I have to say.
I know.
Yeah,
but New York has rebounded. I have to say, New Yorkers are resilient, just the way many.
And making the best of everything, and the spirit is, as you said, resilient.
Exactly. I'm a born and bred Greenwich villager, born and raised, and I now live in Ramsey, New Jersey. But I miss New York, and my heart's always in New York. I'm always there. I haven't been lately, but my heart is always with everybody. Alonzo and Patty, how are you guys holding up? Well, I hope.
Yes, we are.
Very good. We both had the virus with no symptoms.
Ooh.
So, like a month and a half ago.
Oh, okay. But everything's okay for now. Okay, good. And it's going to stay that way. We pray, and we'll be. So you'll be just fine, and you look healthy, and I'm very thankful to have you here. So thank you very much. Rosalind, how are you holding up in Soho?
Fine, I'm fine. Actually, the strange thing that happened is I had a new book. I can show it to you here, Engaging Art, that came out June 1st, and at a time when everything was closed. No book talks, no galleries, whatever. And I'm a person who writes with a pen and paper.
Okay.
And not very tech savvy. So all I can say is thank God for Zoom. I've been doing Zoom talks.
Right.
We're well here. And I must say there's a lot of art on the boarded up buildings in Soho.
Right.
Yes.
Well, one of the things I've learned to do as a host of a great show like this, and I'm so thrilled to be doing the Spin It Social Hour. It really is. It's my heart right now, and to be able to help photographers and the photo community, and bring authorities on, such as you two journalists as well. As a disclaimer, Roz is my former professor at Baruch College and my mentor and guiding light. I will owe to this day, and I will always say that. But I want to say, wow, that is a comment. Look at Brian Schulman, a LinkedIn influencer and all-around influencer. We are all in this together. Photographers have been hit hard financially for months now. For many, their work has. Oh, that's I just put in my statement up there. Thank you, Brian. Wait a minute, I know that language.
That's good, right?
Mark Lee is. Let's do some shout outs here real quick, and then we're going to dig into the work. Mark Lee is here. Mark, pleasure to have you here. Anybody else that we can give some shout outs to, Jonathan? Jonathan Borstein is behind the scenes driving the car, and then we're going to get into more comments and everything later. We will be taking questions somewhere in about maybe 15 minutes. We see Jose Manuel Springer is here. Hi, Stephen. Tim Sohn is here. Dr. Sujana Chandrasekhar. Wonderful to have you here. She's on call. Ali Hernandez from Time Magazine. Claudia Paul, a wonderful photographer who connected me and Stefan. Wow, what a great audience. Anne Martin from the UK. Hello, Anne. Anyway, Marge is here. Stoop Stories. Yay, Marge, a future guest. Emilio Pardo, my sponsor. Me gusta mucho. Okay, I love it. All right, let's get into the show here, and let's get into why we're here. And let me call up some of the work that I've prepared for the other part of this. And we are going to go here, and we're going to hold off on any more comments right now in order to be able to have the slideshow be clear, and then we'll bring more up. So please, also everybody, please share this broadcast. Please like this broadcast, but please share it and amplify it so that everybody on LinkedIn, Twitter, YouTube, and Facebook can get to know these photographers and these journalists and the great work from Mexico and the border on both sides of the border. So, Stefan, talk to us briefly about we have a lot to cover here, but talk to us about all of these parts of the border, both parts that you've covered here. And tell us, I mean, look at all these locations and look at how many you've covered. What a project. Dig into this just a bit here.
Yeah, just looking at the numbers and the places, I don't even know how I did it, to be honest. But you do it piece by piece,
right.
day at a time, so to speak.
Right.
And we talked about Mexico in the beginning. My focus was on the Mexican side of the border. And then I realized, and one artist in Juarez actually brought it to the point. He said, "I'm not telling you where I'm from which side I'm from. I am from La Frontera." Mm-hmm. So he didn't even want to tell me which side he was born or lived. He said the La Frontera is a region, and the region is on both sides of the border. Just happens to be divided by in most places, by a big fence wall, whatever you want to call it. And so I stopped just focusing just on the Mexican side, but I focused on La Frontera. So that's why you see San Diego, El Paso, Brownsville, McAllen, all these places have amazing talent living there. Often, Mexican artists moving to the American side, but also American artists moving to the Mexican side. So there's a constant back and forth and a cultural exchange that is just enormous, enormously exciting. Right. As I said in the beginning, binational areas have two cultures to work with, so it's an advantage. It's not a hindering. I mean, living in the middle of a country and being stuck with just one's culture is, in my opinion, not as good as living on the edge and being connected to another culture. So this is definitely a region that has a huge advantage in a cultural sense. Right. So I moved back and forth between. I didn't do the whole border in one trip. I mean, I kept coming back. I don't know how often I've been to the border, a gazillion times. And you go somewhere for 2 or 3 weeks, and then you got to come back and edit your work and all. I mean, I have a tremendous amount of materials. It's almost unmanageable. No, you do. You really do. I shoot videos and not totally professionally, but I shoot a lot with my iPhone. But it's a documentation rather than art on my part. It's like I'm just connecting the dots, and I try to make the project as non-political as possible, if that is even possible in these days. My project is about showing the vibrant cultural activities that are going on the border, because most people, if you close your eyes, you think Mexican border, U.S. Mexican border. If you close your eyes, you think nothing good. Let's put it like that, because for what you have been brainwashed into thinking about it by, media and politicians and so on.
Mhm.
So when I close my eyes and think about the border, I'm like, I want to go back. I love, and that goes for anywhere I went, because I know the best people in the world.
Mhm.
And most of them are friends. I mean, I've photographed 200 artists, and I would say 180 of them are true friends. I mean, I'm in touch with them. I see them, and here Monica and Alonso and Patty. We are like, where have you been?
Like family.
It's such a major addition to my life.
Yeah.
A positive one.
Yeah. So tell us about, so we've been looking at some photos and we have a lot more to look at, but tell us, for instance, talk about this photo here. It's such a beautiful photo, obviously right near one side of the border. Tell us about this, please.
Well, these are three opera singing, or two of them sing and one plays the piano. They have a little opera operation, and they are true border crossers. The first one, Anushka, lives in San Diego. The other two live in Tijuana, and one of them is Ukrainian, believe it or not, which I never knew. There's Russians and Ukrainians living in Tijuana, so that is a real interesting side point. There's a whole community there.
Right.
So these three crisscross the border and put on their opera shows. And I heard about them, and lately I'm focusing more on artists who really crisscross the border, or true border crossers, so to speak.
Okay.
Also in a cultural sense. So these three really, they're wonderful. So we met, that's another thing about this project. Whenever I contact anybody, they're like, yes, there's no. Everybody seems to love doing this.
Right.
Tremendous support on the border for this project.
That's one of the, probably you'll talk about it also as we get deeper into this, but that's probably one of the biggest misconceptions about the border also, is that it's this barren land everywhere,
Right.
And
untrue.
Untrue. Because there's towns and cities everywhere, right?
Towns and cities, and they're as modern and as normal as ours.
Right, and that's the amazing, yeah, and that's the amazing thing about this project, is educating people also, because I know that your focus has been not on the art specifically, but truly on the artist and the humanity of the people, and not just the art.
Right, and the influence these artists have on their environment or communities, be it large or small. I mean, this is also not a collection about who is who on the border. Far from it. I talk about that later, about my methods of doing this. This is basically a random choice of. It's not that random, but again, it's famous people in it. It's not famous at all, and poor and rich, and good and bad.
Right. Well, sorry, Stefan, please.
Yeah, I also try to stay away from judging people's art. It's not what Stefan likes.
Right.
And that I developed a certain methods to do this. I would not research anybody before I went there.
Right.
I would research one or two artists. It actually started in Tijuana, but that's another long story. I would ask artists, who is your favorite artist?
That's a great question.
I wouldn't find the next artist, but the artist that I found would find the next for me.
I love it. That's a great way to evolve a project. Speaking of project, why don't we bring Patty and Alonso into the conversation here, since their photo is right on the screen. Patty and Alonso, introduce yourselves, please, and tell everybody your special part in being on this show as collectors of art, and tell people about the specific nature of the art and the wonderful things you've been doing over the years.
Well, we live in Mexicali, which is border with California, a really small town called Calexico. So Mexicali means Mexico, California, and Calexico means California, Mexico. So it's really the same city, kind of.
Right.
Same people, and we just cross the border to do certain stuff. Like I work in the United States, I cross every day,
Right.
for 2 years, and for the nature of the people in this area, the whole state, the art is everywhere.
Right.
On the border, or wherever we go. So if you we just start paying a little bit of attention, and we got hooked because it's something really personal. Like it speaks to us, and we just start buying fur walls, and here we are, 500 artworks later, talking to you guys.
Right. Wow, 500 artworks later. So your house I know you've moved a couple of times, but your house is like a mini museum.
Kind of, yeah.
It must be. It must. What is that, Patty?
Everyone wants to come and see.
Well, I want to come. So as soon as we get a handle on this pandemic, I would love to see and even do a live stream from your museum one day.
That's a great idea. That's a great idea.
But I have to tell you, the passion that you guys have for collecting all of this art is. I've never seen anything like it, having so much art in your actual home. It must be such a joy to wake up every morning and go to sleep every night looking at all this art. It must fill your hearts with joy for all of the artists that you support, and also the nature of the topics covered.
Well, most of the artists are friends, so we kind of wake up and look at, oh, there's this guy. Right. And sometimes they come over and we barbecue or something, and they look at their artworks next to somebody they don't really know, and they find some connection, and it's kind of cool,
Right. Absolutely.
Alonso connected me to so many artists. So sorry that I'm jumping in, but
no, it's fine.
I was already working on this project when we met. I'm not quite sure who connected us, but I already had photographed a lot of artists in Tijuana and all that, and I heard Alonso and Patty's name popping up all over the place. So we finally met, and my project includes people who support the arts, so it's not just artists. And Alonso and Patty just fit my profile like so well, because both of them connected me to a lot of artists in Mexicali and other places in Baja California, on the border. And it was never as a collector would connect you with one of their, collected artists, because you know that type of relationship. It was never like that. It was always they always connected me as friends.
Right.
It was more about the friendship than the art. So that's what that's what my whole project is about.
That's why I thoroughly wanted to bring Alonso and Patty on for a different perspective of this as collectors, to show the unique nature of being a collector, and also the passion for doing so as well. Alonso or Patty or both, can you speak to us a bit about this moment here with this artist, and this resonates so well, because you see the beauty of his art, and also the fact that you're so thrilled with being such great collectors.
This artist's name is Alvaro Blancarte, and he's from Tecate. He's probably around 85 years old, and he's an abstract painter, pretty much. But one of his biggest merits is he has been the teacher for generations. Should we say generations? I guess so.
He's 80-something, 87 or something.
Pretty much what we collect, he's been the teacher of almost every one of them. And everybody loves him and admires him, and he taught them how to be disciplined.
Wow.
Without having to crack the whip, just by logic and sense and goodwill. And he's very well respected. And that day I met Stefan there, I think, at that video. By accident, I think. I think Jaime connected us. And Stefan happened to be there. And I was there to buy the painting that we're holding. I didn't know what. Yeah, so he captured a special moment for me, and and then I think we decided to meet later in Mexicali, Stefan and I, and then our relationship started.
Well,
that's history.
I tell you, the connecting of the dots in life for me never stops, and I'm glad to see that it continues with artists and collectors and everybody else, because it really is about creating a great community. And that's one of the things I also wanted to do with the Spin It Social Hour every week, is bring people together to celebrate the arts, to talk about important topics. And 2 weeks before our crazy, crazy time that we are living in here in the United States, dealing with the election and many, many other things, I was really, really, I had a tremendous desire to have this show 2 weeks before the election to highlight the beauty of the Mexican people, to highlight the beauty of the artists, and to stop this horrible nature that this demonization, as I said at the beginning of the show, that has happened in so many countries by one individual specifically, and I will not get into politics right now. But I will say that I want to continue on here and show some more of this beautiful art. Look at this. You have a beautiful, beautiful collection, from paintings to sculptures. Tell us a little more.
Well, that's our old house, and we moved.
Okay.
Right behind my back, you can see a green painting at the top of my back. And if you look at my Patty's back right now, the same painting's there.
Okay.
What?
So we moved, and
No, you're back. That's right there.
Yeah, you're back now. Here.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Anyway,
it's a little weird on a live stream.
Yeah. In the picture, I guess you could see Hugo Crossway, he's from Rosarito.
Right.
The painting I'm pointing at is Pablo Castañeda from Mexicali.
Right.
Very prolific, really prolific artist. The one between my face and my fingers, Manuel Barrona, which passed away recently. He was the oldest living artist born in Baja California.
Wow.
And the one behind me is what we call him pioneer artists from this area.
Right.
And behind that is Julio Orozco from Tijuana. So our collection is Tijuana, Tecate, Ensenada, and Mexicali artists, and points in between.
Jonathan, can we have that comment back for a second, please, sir? Jose Manuel Springer says, I've seen the Patty Fontes and Alonso Elias collection at the Kikut in Tijuana. It's absolutely amazing. They promote the local artists from Baja California, and I really admired people with such a commitment to collecting and keeping a reservoir of local artists who, I may add, are part of the international art scene. That is just wonderful.
He's a very important curator in Mexico, so it's a big voice.
It's a pleasure to have him watching this show, and I hope to connect with him one day too. So thank you.
Manuel's a teacher for the oldest and I don't know if I should say best, but the most renowned art school in Mexico City and the whole country.
Right.
He's a teacher, and he's been a curator for a lot of shows, so he kind of knows what he's talking about.
Well, it's an honor to have him watching this show, and he knows, since he's senior collection, he is the authority, as you say, on this. So wonderful, wonderful stuff, and we will show more in a bit. Let's go to Monica now, because
can I go just for a second?
I'm very ambitious with this show with 5-6 people. So I'm also going to bring Ed Cordy back here at the bottom, because let's take the ticker off for just a sec too. So this way that we have as clear of a picture as possible. I may need to scoot down a little. But Monica, welcome, and tell everybody about how you got started, and I'll show some of your work as we talk here on these projects and what it means to document the work that I'm going to show that you've been doing.
Well, I was born and raised in the border. Also consider myself border, la frontera, and it wasn't until I was 25 that I encountered photography, and I started to document. I began in the downtown Juarez area on the Mexican side, and it was considered one of the most dangerous parts of the city. So at night, I went with some friends, and we documented, trying to literally find the light in the darkness through photography. And we encountered so many scenarios. This was back in 2005. So afterwards, 10 years later, I am in Madrid, Spain, living and studying a master's degree in photography. And when I arrived to Europe, I have this big cultural shock. And the first thing that amazed me was immigration, and how there were so many mirrors of what I had seen in the border of Mexico and U.S. to what I saw now in Europe. And I traveled to Morocco, and I traveled through Europe, and it was eye-opening to me. I could see the same abyss, I could say, in the eyes of the immigrants that I met from the ones that I had met in Juarez, in Mexico. So my journey got to I could not help but start my photographic journey with this theme. So I research stories. This work is called Borders, and it's a research of 18 stories of people who have crossed borders in amazing ways.
Wow. I don't mean to interrupt you, but I have to say, when I saw this work on Borders, I have not seen anything like this. And I have to tell you, it made me cry a little. It made me so deep in thought about the journey and the struggles and everything that these beautiful people do to try to have a new life. So please go on.
Yes, it for me, it converts the fragility of the journey that they live through, makes them heroes. If somebody can go through something like that, and be able to live through it, for me is something that most human beings cannot. These are so in a way. I had seen so many stories about the border, and I really wanted to speak about these stories in a different way, without any context. So this is the first thing, that I decontextualize the space.
Right.
So we focus on the stories, and they are around the world. This is from North Korea to China,
right?
The Berlin Wall as well.
Monica, speak to us about this photo right here, because when I saw this, it just stopped me dead in my tracks.
Yes, from Mali to Morocco, through the border, the immigrants hide in between the mattresses. So this is a way to cross. So what I have discovered, even through my own life as well, and through the life of humanity, when you are rock bottom in life, and you have nothing left, and you have nowhere to go, the mind starts creating a way to survive. So you think the unthinkable, and this is what this series is about: how you cross a border, how it's something unimaginable, and you make it, and you do it in order to have a new life. You're risking your own life because you have nothing left to do. And so this is from Mali to Morocco. And of course, I did this series in the school that I was studying, the master's degree. This was my final project. And I had never before felt so sure about a series until I did this. I have to say, I shot this series in 12 hours. This is because I was an immigrant myself. So I was working with whatever I had. Most of the people helped me out because they believed in the project and the stories. Right. And so I had to get the objects for the photos, and I wanted to concentrate on the story and on that moment when the immigrant has left their life but has not arrived to their future. So they are in this time of nothingness, in the middle of the crossing, where they don't know anything, and they are just floating in the nothingness.
Wow. I'm telling you, I'm sure you're when you finished this project and you handed it in, that it blew everybody away. I mean, I'm sure that they were like, wow, what an incredible body of work you started by doing this. I mean, I've just never seen photos and thinking about their journey, the people who have put everything at risk to be in a mattress, to be in a tire, to put themselves in car seats and other things. I mean, it's just heartbreaking. But on the other hand, I have to say it, if they can survive that, God help us all for wanting to help them once they get here, you know?
Exactly. Yes, and that is what the thought that I saw when my mother sent me this newspaper ad with the car seat photo, or the recreation, well, the original one, this one on the left, and I thought, what does it take for a human being to be able to hide inside of a car seat in order to cross a border and be there for hours, you know, with your legs numb, with no air, and is a desperation of the situation that is happening. And I've met so many stories along 15 years of working with this issue, and it's been an honor for me to have the trust of so many people that have told me their stories and let me do a recreation or even document.
Right. Well, you know, and then of course, you know, all of the items that many of these people carry. I mean, if you look closely at this, I mean, the variety of items, it's basically anything that most of us would have scattered around our house, and they have to have, of course, with them during this journey, and hopefully they're able to keep it with them. And many lose it, as we know, and then end up having all kinds of other problems when they're stuck in the desert somewhere or other places, and then they're left, God help us all, in the middle of the desert or on a boat in the middle of the ocean, you know.
So this picture is very important in my photographic journey, because this is the last picture that I take for Border series. And this picture, I had my mother again send me through the mail stuff from Mexico. So what happens is in some of the health centers that are in the border, they call it a happy meal. Can you imagine? It's a happy meal, cajita feliz. And so these kits that they give the immigrants before they cross. They know they're gonna cross this they call it the devil's lava, or the devil's fire, las brechas del diablo.
Right.
The biggest this is one of the most difficult journeys to cross, from Sonora in Arizona.
Right.
And so some health centers know that they're gonna cross, so they give them this kit for survival. So this is a recreation of this kit. And without any further plans, 10 years later, I am again in the border of Mexico and U.S., and I am photographing still lives of the remaining objects that they carry through their journey.
Yeah, I have that set. We're going to get to that in a moment. Let me check on that. Hold on one second. Let me get to.
No worries. I was just mentioning that this photo is important because it's the initiation of the next project 10 years later.
Sure. No, but I have some of those, and I want to show people those.
Yes.
But also, you've had the I will say, the honor and the incredible moment in your life to work with the world-renowned artist named JR.
Yes.
Tell us briefly about that. I'll show a few photos here from this project.
Yes. Again, 2010 is when I left to New York City. I had the honor to have the presidential scholarship at the School of Visual Arts.
Right.
So I was there, and I connected to artists in New York. Somebody sent me the link to the Inside Out project that he was doing. And strangely, I sent a message directly to him, and he wrote back. He said, of course, I've been wanting to take Inside Out to Juarez. So let's do this. And so many people, we got this amazing group of more than 100 volunteers. We photographed 16 photographers. We photographed 1,000 faces of the border.
Wow.
And then we pasted them on the line of the Rio Grande.
Right.
And this was right in 2010 when the cartel wars were very, very, well, it was on the peak point of the city.
Right.
So all the news that were about Juarez and the border again were about the killings and the violence and everything that was, of course, happening, and it was tremendous. But there was still another side to this reality of all the people that were living there and holding on.
Yeah.
So many young people.
I distinctly remember this project, and it really, really captivated me when it started. And JR is such an amazing individual and artist, you know, always coming up with these revolutionary and very, very powerful projects. But the special part about JR, of course, is that he involved so many artists in his projects.
Right.
You know, of course, the topic is the most important thing of all. But real special, excuse me, the real special part is being able to include a family of artists to give all these different perspectives and their unique way of documenting things, such as yourself.
Right. It was one of the biggest lessons of my life. And I think that what JR is doing with this project is beyond him as an artist and beyond everything, because he gives it to the community and the community takes it as its own. So
Right.
in Juarez, it was a picking point of again, nothingness, of rock bottom, of living through this cartel war. And then all of a sudden you start seeing faces of happy people around the city, because we
Right.
not only pasted in the river, but also on the walls of the city, on under bridges or spaces. And the community, I mean, it was, like I said, beyond what we expected.
Okay, well, why don't we pause right here? Jonathan, do we have any questions and comments from our viewers, so this way that we can make sure that we make this show as engaging as possible? Jose is back again. Thank you so much, Jose. Amazing work, Monica. I admire artists like yourself that show a social commitment and engage audiences through powerful content and eloquent aesthetics. Thank you, Jose. Thank you. Edward, a big fan of the show and supporter of the show and future guest. A question that I have been asked about my work. A question that I have been asked about my work was, why do you photograph subjects that are depressing? What is your hope purpose? My answer always was powerful imagery is a form of shock therapy, that such images are seeds planted in a collective memory of people who remember the vision presented. Here, I ask all of you, do you feel your work has had an impact for change? Are there times when you feel it is a losing battle? That's an interesting question. Stefan, let's take that question to you.
It's never a losing battle. It's a losing battle when we stop doing what we're doing.
That's right.
And that includes Alonso and Patty and everybody else who's keeping all this alive.
That's right.
Everybody adds their own perspective to it.
That's right.
That's why, you know, when I said in the beginning, I try to kind of stay out of politics and this and that.
Of course.
But the people that are collectively now in this project bring about all their, you know, whatever it may be. There's a lot of artists too who.
Right.
I know artists who don't even know where the border is, and they live like 3 blocks from it.
Right.
They don't care about the border.
Right. Let's bring Claudia. Let's bring Claudia Steinberg into the picture here. Claudia, welcome.
Yes, thank you.
I'm sorry that we haven't gotten to any questions for you, but we want to do that now. Claudia, having worked with Stefan now, how many years have you worked with Stefan as a writer?
Stefan and I have known each other for decades, and for I think the last 15 to almost 20 years, we have been working for a bunch of major German publications together on all kinds of stories, not just art stories. So it has been a close working friendship, yeah. And so it's about 10 years ago that we went to Tijuana together. I remember very clearly the situation of crossing the border. We were in the company of Teddy Cruz, an architect and theoretician who I admired very much, because his work was all about relating different aesthetics that were border crossing from both sides.
Mhm.
And so we crossed into Tijuana with him, and we were very scared. It was, I think, around 2010. And we had, of course, known about all the terrible things that were going on there. But basically, as soon as we were in town, all these fears evaporated. And very soon, there was this intense affection for this resilient, scrappy town. And then Stefan and I pursued stories there for several years. Not only artists, we had great conversations with a guy called Oscar Romo, an architect who helped
and artists
who helped citizens of the canyons, who basically the favelas, how to make build houses out of the trash that the factories would throw into the canyon. I mean, amazing work. All of this was so exciting, but also the very first time Stefan and I went together, Stefan had already been there previously, and he introduced me to Ere, and the artist who has this amazing structure, provoking ice right at the border. And we held something like a salon. That's a European word, but nevertheless, it was an amazing meeting of several artists talking, presenting their work. And there was such a great spirit of resiliency, of survival, of creativity. And I was completely enamored with this place. And it became like the Ricardo's diner and so on, became like a favorite place. And just talking about it, I almost feel homesick for it. Yeah. And so, yes, and I mean, I share Stefan's background of having grown up in Germany with the idea of a border, which I crossed many times into East Germany just with that curiosity. And then
so
Tijuana was something like a laboratory. And
right.
This is what the idea of that had been introduced by Romo as well as Teddy Cruz. And we saw it happening. And yes.
Okay, so let me throw a question to Roz Bernstein. Roz, we wanted to ask you, having written about the arts internationally and traveled so much, what is the significance of a body of documentary work like Stefan's to the world?
Well, one thing that I've been thinking about watching Stefan's work and Monica's too is, so often work that's about social engagement, works about communities, so often you confront a kind of censorship. Either artists self-censor, they won't show certain works, or I've covered recently, I've written about Palestinian and Druze women artists. They suffer government censorship. So I find wonderful here that Stefan gives us, artists in their studios, in their home environments. It feels pure, it feels uncensored. And Monica, you haven't mentioned, but I wonder if at any time you ever dealt with people who said, can't show that, not comfortable with that, don't show that. It seems to me that both of you are creating a kind of archive of work that we would not otherwise see. So something I certainly would like to write about.
Thank you.
Absolutely, absolutely. So one of the other things that I want to do here is I want to show a couple of, we have so much work yet to cover, but I wanted to let everybody know, by the way, please, that we're going to, sorry, I just want to give a little room here just for a second. I want everybody to know that this show is going to be available on YouTube. It's streaming right now to YouTube, but it's going to be available with closed captioning in Spanish. So Monica, perhaps you could tell, or I would have picked anybody, but Monica, perhaps you could tell everybody in Spanish who's watching, just in case, that they will be able to go to YouTube, and that Jonathan will be putting these, well, he's doing it right here.
Para ver la transmisión Spinach Social en español, visite YouTube mañana en Spinach Social Hour, diagonal videos, youtube.com. Abre este episodio y programa show y verás a la rueda de configuración, wheel, y luego a la opción option. Luego haga clic en subtítulos y auto-translate y encuentra la selección del idioma en español. Gracias.
And Monica, can you please let everybody know that they could take a snapshot of the screen here if they want, or they can go into the comments and the instructions will be there for them.
Sí, en los comentarios van a estar toda la información y pueden tomar un screenshot de esto.
Thank you, Monica. Thank you. That was beautiful. Thank you.
I do the Spanglish too.
No, it's wonderful because, always being a social media and digital strategist, I'm always looking for every possible option. And I was saying to myself, what can we do to make sure I didn't have a translator, but I wanted to make sure that YouTube has an option that many people should know about, that you could go to the wheel, the settings wheel, and actually auto-translate the YouTube videos to many, many, many different languages.
Exactly. It's amazing.
It is.
Technology.
So let's move on with some of the work here because I still have so much to cover, and we're going to go, into this.
That was Enrique Gaspar in El Paso.
Stefan, I love this photo because I've always been a huge fan of puppeteers. I grew up in Greenwich Village, and there were a lot of puppeteers and other people from Soho and many other areas where Roz lives. And it was just wonderful to be able to always see them do their work. And I grew up around the Greenwich Village Halloween parade, and there were many puppeteers with life-size puppets. So this really captured my heart.
Thank you. Yeah, this man, and I forgot his name right now. I can't look it up. He literally crossed my path. I mean, he was definitely nobody I was looking for. And I was so thrilled that he had an art form that I hadn't really covered yet. Because
it's interesting that you say that, Stefan, because I had a point that I was going to make about this, and I was going to ask you, actually.
It's in Matamoros, by the way.
What's that?
This is in Matamoros, by the way, the very eastern end of the border.
Okay. One of the things I was going to ask you was, well, actually, Monica, you too, have many of your projects evolved naturally, and in terms of you, Stefan, your subjects, have they evolved naturally from each other, working on one and then realizing what it is you need to work on next? So, Monica, why don't you tackle that one first?
Yes, definitely. They are all interconnected, and one is behind the other one. Like I mentioned before on the photo of the still life of the objects that the immigrants carry to cross, I did not know back then that this would be the beginning of the new project that I worked on at the end of last year. So yes, they are.
I had to close the sun is coming in so strong. I apologize, folks. This is the time of the year where even a live streamer has to understand that he's going to have to battle different times of new light. So we learn as we go, but we make the corrections live and we deal with it.
Yes.
Anyway, Stefan, how about you? I mean, you actually already said, right, that many of your subjects keep introducing you into more subjects.
That's right, but the bigger projects themselves, they really literally come to me. I'm a visual person. I can't really think straight. If I can't put a picture, I can't. It's of no use.
Right.
So I'm visually very impatient. I always say too. Like if I see something and it grabs me, then it grabs me. And the interesting part is they're all interconnected by things you wouldn't think of. Like I worked in Trinidad in the Caribbean for 7 years on one project, right? Mm-hmm. And part of the project was there was this Mexican-American artist, Laura Babata Anderson, who did certain costumes for the school I was working with. And when I had the idea of the border, that's the person I called. I wouldn't have known her except for Trinidad.
Right.
She lives in New York too. So I called her, I said, do you know anybody on the border, since she's Mexican?
Right.
And she came up with one name only, Marta Palau, who's one of the most important artists in Mexico. She happens to live in Tijuana and Mexico City, and she happened to be there when I called her in Tijuana. So the first day, 4th of November 2008, that's whom I met in Tijuana. I only had one name, one foreigner, one name, which came from Laura Anazambabata, whom I met in Trinidad. So it kind of rolls like that, you know. So the projects themselves have really nothing to do with each other, but they do.
Right. You know, I wanted to touch on this one part real quick, just to give some notoriety to this. I really was amazed by this, and it was such a beautiful thing to read about. One of the things I love in putting this show together every week is learning so much about the projects, of course, about the artists, but also the individuals involved that have been captured. For example, this story about the trolley cars that what part of Mexico was this?
El Paso.
No, it's in El Paso in
I'm sorry,
the US,
El Paso. But that it was connecting two different areas, and this photographer helped get, like, I think it was like $8 million towards this project.
Far more than that. I don't know what he got for the particular project, but there was a bunch of money all of a sudden allocated from whatever state of Texas.
Look at what he was able to do. Look at this beauty of what he was able to create again. You know,
yeah, this trolley used to connect El Paso and Juarez when the border wasn't what it is today. There would be an international trolley.
Right.
And then I don't know the story as well as maybe Monica, but then the trolley was defunct, and the border came up, and they couldn't use it anymore, so they parked it near the airport in El Paso. And since it's so dry there, nothing really rots or rusts.
Right.
So and Peter Schwarzbein, that's his name. He studied here in New York at the SVA. And his masterpiece, as far as I remember it, his master, whatever you call it, paper, was about this trolley and reinventing it. But it was more, he never really thought about doing it. He was just having it as a theory.
Right.
Theoretical paper, and he made posters, and he created a person, the conductor, you know, the whole thing. And he had
what a beautiful restoration project, and such an important thing.
It's still not crossing the border, but it's running in El Paso. So. Right.
And we're just going through the work here of so many artists.
That's one thing I want to add. I mean, every single one of these artists, there's 200 stories that are so amazing.
Trust me, I know. Curating this project for today was an incredible effort, and it was just wonderful to do. I feel so much richer for it, having learned so much about all of these artists, and also you both. Monica and Stefan, and also the writing and work that Claudia's done, and Alonso and Patty too. Just so wonderful to keep going through all of this. And artists who have done so much, whether it's music, whether it's collecting so many of the things that are left behind and then putting them into art projects such as this.
This is Tom Kiefer, by the way, who if you add Tom Kiefer's work to Monica's work, you would have he collects things that were taken away from immigrants at the detention centers.
Right. Well,
catalogs them and whatnot.
Right. One of the things I want to do, I'm going to stop the slideshow here for a second, is let you know that I put together something very special for Monica, because her work, not singling anything out here, Stefan is the master who's documented her, but her work, and I'm sure he'd want me to say this, captured something really deep that has to be shown. So I put together a special slideshow for Monica, and I want you to watch this. I'm not going to play or talk or do anything while we show this, because it deserves our respect. And Monica, I'm briefly going to show a portion of the work that you've done on hugs and
not walls.
Hugs and walls.
Hugs, not walls.
and the other one dealing with the camps. Okay.
Okay.
I'm going to show this without any narration and just let it play. So please bear with us and enjoy this, because absorb this and understand this for what the body of work is worth. Wow. I mean, Monica, I have to tell you, just brava, and just thank you. I know it brings tears to your eyes just watching that stuff, and it does all of us. I want to personally, say thank you for doing this work that teaches us all so much of empathy, compassion, understanding, anger to a degree too. We have to face facts. It angers me, and really just sends me into a bit of a tizzy thinking about all that these people have to struggle with just to see each other.
Yes, yes.
Go ahead. Yes, Stefan.
We can't stay angry, We're
no, I don't
we're
mean
not getting it. No,
yeah.
that's what we do in our work,
But I was going to say, channel that though into positive stuff and positivity. I didn't finish, so I'm sorry.
No, I'm sorry I interrupted.
No, I was going to say, but we must take our anger and we must take our frustrations and we must channel them into positivity and go forward in making the difference in the world that we need to make. So that was my full statement.
Sorry for interrupting.
Monica, please talk about the photos that I just saw showed a bit, please.
Yes, what we saw is the camps. First, we saw some pictures of the camps. This is what happened last year during December. Actually, since the summer towards December 2019, the centers, the asylum centers, were full, and many people had to create these camps right outside of the port of entry to the U.S. So they were camps that the immigrants created, and they lived there for months until they had their citation with immigration and U.S. border. And going in there was one of the most raw experiences I photographed, looking at how they were, families were living in the camps outside of in the park, outdoors, and with the winter, with hunger, with all of it. So we saw some pictures of people washing their clothes in the water faucet, in the drinking water faucets. It was something very strong, how they were cooking, how they were living their lives, and the community that they created was also something incredible to see, because it had nothing to do with what we see in the media about criminalizing, and these people are a threat. And it has become a number now and a threat to the US, when actually these people are trying to do something better for their kids. Most of them are here to do something better for their kids and their family, and they're willing to work, and they're strong, and they survive this journey that most of us could not survive. No. So it was something incredible to document, and the kids, the resistance. Me as a mom, of course, I was going there many times a week, and it was very, very strong to see. And this other Hugs Not Walls event is made by the Border Network of Human Rights.
Right.
And they reunite families for 3 minutes so they can touch each other and they can hug and embrace after years of not seeing each other.
3 minutes. They get 3 minutes. And I have to tell you, you documented this absolutely just the way it needed to be done. And I just want to give you a big hug right now just for doing it.
Yes, let's hug each other and not walls.
because I'm trying to, contain myself because it's such a powerful body of work. And, wow. I wanted to show them as you were talking a bit about it and add in a few comments. But one of the things I also want to do, we have a little time left, is I wanted to point out, please, everybody, share this broadcast. It's been the Spin It Social Hour here, premiering on LinkedIn today, but also on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter. You will find the Spin It Social Hour every week here on all 4 platforms now. It is an honor to be doing this and reaching out and telling everybody about these photographers, because you have to remember, everybody has been hit hard by this pandemic. And our thoughts are with you specifically, Alonzo and Patty, that you continue to do well, continue to feel well, and we're going to be thinking about you as time progresses here, since COVID and everything has touched you a bit, and not a bit, but it has come into your life. But you will do well, and we're all behind you, and we wish you well.
Thanks.
Stefan, I just wanted to.
Yes, please, Roz, go ahead.
I wanted to jump in and say, on the last images, Hugs Not Walls, I wanted to say what a brave and brilliant decision to shoot in black and white.
Yeah,
that's Monica's work.
Yes, no, Stefan, but I was saying is.
Oh, sorry, I thought you said Stefan.
It's okay.
No, I was speaking to Stefan.
Yeah.
I do have one question for you, Stefan, which is in your notes. In notes that I have from you, you said that in recent years, or recently, I don't know, it's not dated, the paper I have, you've been looking at more political, border, and immigration issues rather than just an archive. Why is that? What is that shift about?
Because for a while, it was important to me to get many artists to show the whole scope of things, although I'm not near any number that is there in talent. But I realized right in the beginning I need a massive project to show that the border, which is 2,000 miles long and has 2 sides, so that's like 4,000 miles almost, that this project had to be big. And then all of a sudden it was big. So if I increase the number of portraits from like 200 to 400 now, which is totally possible, easy, but it wouldn't change the message.
Right.
I mean, the project in that sense is done. The message is there. I can't increase it by increasing the number of artists that I photograph. Although I would love to, because there's so many that I haven't photographed yet, so many. So lately I'm a little more selective in stories that I like, which, as I said in the beginning, the methodic was different. I would not even do any research. I would just roll,
Mm-hmm.
Now I'm hearing about stories like Tom Kiefer, whom we showed before, who collects the personal belongings that were thrown in the garbage by the detention officers. And what's his name? Alonso Enciso. I find the name in the Alonso Enciso, who puts up crosses in the Sonoran deserts for every remains of an immigrant who has deceased there because of heat or whatever, exhaustion. He had put up 800 or 900 crosses by now and the numbers are like in the thousands. So he has a lot of work to do. His project is an art project. He doesn't do that for religious reasons or whatever. But he respects, and he says he uses the cross because it's an international sign for respect, which I agree on. So he gets the information from the government where they find bodies or remains, and he goes out and puts it. So these kind of stories interest me.
What an incredible thing to do. Let me quickly bring in our co-producer, my co-producer right here. I wanted to introduce him, Jonathan Borstein, who's been in the car behind the scenes here. Jonathan, welcome. Welcome. Oh, wait a minute. We have mute on here. Sorry. There you go, Jonathan. Welcome.
Welcome. Hello.
Thank you. Thank you for doing everything. Thank you for everything you do as a co-producer of this show, driving the car behind the wheel, behind the steering wheel here, behind the scenes, to help us get this done every week with the captions, with the comments, maneuvering it all. Jonathan, tell everybody a bit about yourself, please.
I am a full-time flaneur, a sometime writer, and part-time tech. Also, interestingly enough, I collect folk and outsider art, so I'm very interested in some of the artworks here that have been documented both by Stefan and as well as the collection in California.
I wanted to give everybody a close. That's why I gave everybody a close-up of your humble abode there. You have quite the collection of art.
What you see behind me, though, is not Mexican. Those are flags from Haiti. African art is very interesting. But another or another photographer.
I have a huge Haitian family that I grew up with. They're my family. I went to a French school for many years with kids from Africa and Haiti, and they'll be very interested in learning more about your art one day. But Jonathan, I just wanted to let everybody know about the work being done behind the scenes, and thank you for being here. I'm going to now quickly show a video that I wanted to show. I'm going to stop this here, and I wanted to bring Claudia on, and I'm going to show a quick video of part of Stefan's work that I think we should see. So this way you know about the audio and visual work that he's done as well. So let me get to that right now. And I'm going to go right here to Gretchen Barr. And I'm going to put the, sorry, hold on one second. I'm going to have to mute myself.
Hi, I'm Gretchen Bear, and I live here on the border in Bisbee, Arizona. I paint the border wall with kids in Mexico nearby. We've been painting for about 5 years. We're called the Border Bedazzlers. We have turned the Mexican border wall on the Mexican side into a giant canvas for kids. So we're painting the world's longest kids mural. We've done 1 mile so far, and we're just going to keep on going. And we're trying to send a positive message to the world that people are kind on both sides of the border. We are respectful and loving to our neighbors in Mexico, and just want to do something good and something positive. And so we're going to go paint that border wall this afternoon.
Gretchen, why are you painting the border?
We are painting the border wall to send a message to the world that that this is a great place to be, and that people in Mexico are wonderful and warm and kind and generous, and the kids are wonderful, and you can take something ugly and turn it into something beautiful. So we're taking an ugly wall and turning it into a giant canvas for kids. All right, ¿quieres pintar? Okay, bueno.
This is in Naco, Mexico, by the way.
Naco.
I had to unmute myself again. Thank you. I wanted to show that video. I dug it up because I went through dozens of videos for Stefan and this show, because it really, what she said right there is what I want to conclude with this show. I thought it was a perfect ending. I hope you all agree. Having been talking, I'm not going to cut anybody off here, but I just wanted to finish just saying that I thought it was the perfect ending for the body of work I wanted to show about Stefan and also Monica. So Stefan, go right ahead, please.
Yeah, I just want to add to that video, which still brings tears to my eyes. And that's one of 200 wonderful people I call my friends now. I mean, I'm just so blessed with doing this. Well, but this border wall, that's my last thing I want to say, is it's not existing anymore. They tore it down because they replaced it with a high security fence just half a year ago.
Right.
And all that was destroyed. But what I'm saying with that is what we do, what Monica does, what we all do here is also part of a historical document. I have documented things that I never thought would be a document, right? Because it's not there anymore. But we have it. You know what I mean? So
what I'd like to do now is have some parting words from everybody, and then I want you to all stay backstage while I do a wrap up of the show. I want everybody to know you've been watching the Spin It Social Hour this week, premiering on LinkedIn. Thank you, LinkedIn family, for having us. I hope you've learned a lot today. I hope you've learned a lot about these artists and the humanity that they've captured and all the great work. And Stefan's showing off his connection with Photoville. Everybody should visit Photoville when they have a chance. I went last year. I wish I could have gone this year, but I couldn't. But they are an incredible, incredible celebration of photography. I hope that I can do a live show with them one day. It would be wonderful to do. So hook me up, Stefan. Let's do this. But more importantly, let's continue to educate people about artists out there, photographers every week through the Spin It Social Hour. And please share this broadcast. Let everybody know about it. I can't believe it, but we've had a whopping 120 plus comments already that everybody can read on Facebook and other places. And also, at least we had up to 40 live viewers at one point. And I hope that this continues to amplify afterwards. But on that note, please, some parting words from first you, Stefan.
I just want to thank you for putting up the show. I mean, this is so helpful. And it was such a, you know, I wish we could have a huge roundtable with 200 artists. Maybe one day we do.
Whoa, 200 people on a live stream. Not yet, buddy.
No, but let's say 10.
Let's start with maybe 10. 10 is the max I can fit on the screen on the StreamYard.
10 that represent the entire border.
Stefan has big goals.
Yeah. So,
Monica, you have to unmute. You have to unmute. You're muted, my dear. Okay.
Yes,
Monica,
thank you.
It's been an honor to have you here too. Please, some parting words.
Yes, thank you, Stephen, for the invitation, of course. And I have to thank most of all, Stefan, for your wonderful work. It was amazing, you know, the time we met in Juarez, and you are a voice to all of us. So I thank you very much, Stefan. And the message I would just close with is we have to be brave to open our eyes and really see reality and what is happening, and not only stay in one side, but see all sides.
And finally, would you be kind enough once again, quickly, just in Spanish, to let Jonathan throw it up on the screen to let everybody know that they can find this in YouTube and also translate it through YouTube in Spanish.
Si la transmisión va a estar en español, la traducción la pueden encontrar en la parte de abajo en YouTube.
Okay, great. There's the instructions. I want everybody to benefit from the knowledge of this show about the body of work. And Claudia, some parting words, please.
Yes. First of all, I would like to say to Monica, I think that every anti-immigrant fanatic should see your pictures. And I think they would really make a difference. And Stefan, I hope we will go south of the border again soon. We are learning Spanish together.
Yes,
so
we are.
it will be helpful. Stefan, thank you for having me. And Roslyn and Alonso and Patty, so nice to meet you. And
Absolutely.
I hope we see each other again. Yeah.
Wonderful. Alonso and Patty, some parting words, please.
Well, thank you, Stefan, for inviting us. Stefan, this is my first time on like this kind of thing.
All right.
Hopefully, we invite people to collect. It's not very hard. It's not expensive. So, you know, you can help out artists and make your house beautiful.
That's right. Please. Alonso, just a couple of words?
I really appreciate the relationship with Stefan. He's visited a few times, and you know, it's just I love what he's doing, showing the world this area that people think is like the desert, and I really appreciate it.
I fell in love with it. I fell in love with everything about this project, and the beauty is I'm thrilled, I'm honored, and I'm just over the top with joy to be connected with you, Monica, you, Stefan, you guys too, Patty and Alonso. And I hope, like I said, I hope that this brings more attention to this. And we will continue to do this every week with the Spinach Social Hour. It is my true labor of love. And as a social media and visual consultant who used to be a photo editor at the Times, it's my pleasure to use my network and all the years I've been in this industry and other industries, bring it all together and get this work out there and help you guys, because Lord knows, wow, all this work. You guys.
Stefan, can I add one thing?
Oh no, I'm getting parting words from you. Oh no, please, Roz.
Okay.
My guiding light in life from Baruch. Oh yes, please, some parting words from my professor.
Parting words is thank you all, because whether you're taking pictures or documenting or collecting art or writing about it, as I do, you are writing about art in today's highly politicized world. And no better timing than this moment in America.
So what I wanted to say, wow, that is as powerful as we need. And I wanted to say one more thing. I want everybody to know where people can find everybody. So Roz, I know that you are on Twitter as Rosalind Bernstein.
Right. You can see my website, rosalindbernstein.com.
That's right. We've been showing that throughout the show on the Twitter.
Thank you.
Everybody's addresses and tags and handles have been on the bottom with tickers. That is the magic of StreamYard. This is a full production studio, and I am also able to produce these shows for other people too. So please, let me know. I'm always willing to work with other people out there, as is the group I work with as well. So, and I will talk about that in a brief moment. Monica, also, people can find you at Monica Lozano, I know, on Instagram. Alonso and Patty at Colección Elias Fontes, correct?
Yes.
Okay, so it's Colección Elias.Fontes. And I should have kept up with my Spanish. I speak fluent French, but I should have kept up with my Spanish. And Stefan, we know we can find you at Stefan Falke Portfolio and also Border Artists. Shitachi, thank you so much. Shitachi, we have to catch up. I have to tell you something. Shitachi is the founder of Mediascope, a great media live stream. Anyway, everybody, I want you to hold on while I wrap everything up, please. And this has been an incredible Spinach Social hour and a half today. But worth every minute to go over a little for you guys. So let me wrap up here and mention something. So please stay tuned, stay behind the scenes, and I'll be right back. Okay? All right. Hold on. I have to take you off too, Monica. 1 second. Okay. So, folks, you've been watching the Spin It Social Hour premiering today on LinkedIn, as well as its normal home of Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. Please find it on all channels possible, and also on YouTube at the Spin It Social Hour, all 28 shows, including today's. And let me wrap up by saying next week's guest is going to be a wonderful photographer named Stuart Dryden from Calgary. Stuart is an amazing photographer. I was blown away by his work the minute I saw it, and I said, you need to be on the show. He's a great photographer, so bringing him on from Calgary next week. So please join us Saturday, October 24th at 10 a.m. on all channels. Let me also mention a wonderful, wonderful organization that I'm working with right now through Sri Srinivasan and his DigiMentors group, who are my dear colleagues and a powerhouse in the digital and live streaming space. No better way to describe DigiMentors than a powerhouse. Beauty Without Boundaries, brought to you by Entrepreneur and Grace Cho, and also ASEMA and Friends of ASEMA, which is the proper organizations that are putting these beautiful pieces of work out there to, most importantly, benefit the marginalized, some of the poorest children in India, in Mumbai. Please support this wonderful auction that I am helping do work with. Beauty Without Boundaries. Preview the art collection at auctions.entrepreneur.com. Go to it. Some huge celebrities are taking place with this. Huge. I'll let you read the list when you go to Beauty Without Boundaries at auctions.entrepreneur.com. Please visit it. You can also buy prints. If you can't afford the work, you can also buy prints at a lesser price. All of it, every penny, goes to benefit these poor, some of the poorest children in Mumbai and other places in the area there. Please help and please support this wonderful, wonderful charity and ASEMA and the Friends of ASEMA. I can't say enough. My heart is full working with them on this project. And let me tell you about tomorrow, about the NYT read-along with Sri Srinivasan. Really big show tomorrow, celebrating 5 years of the NYT read-along with editorials editor Alex Kingsbury of the New York Times editorial board. You get such a big introduction to the New York Times and journalism and media, and get to meet everybody online every week with Sri, the leader in the digital space and the co-founder of DigiMentors with Andrew Lee, the digital and virtual events consultancy that I work with and that I consult with. I'm a freelancer with them. And we all work together and do many projects, and it's wonderful to always be together. And Sri is the connector of the dots. And also check him out still at Muckrack and learn and get a certificate from the Fundamentals of Social Media at Muckrack, free on-demand certification course. And I will close out with a big shout out to doctors, because doctors are key right now with this pandemic that we're doing to. And a thank you to Dr. Sujana and Dr. Marina every week on She's On Call for helping us understand more about this pandemic every week and bringing on great doctors to learn more about all these key things every week. So thank you, Dr. Sujana. Thank you, Dr. Marina. And thank you for producing the show every week. Rose Horowitz, Vandana Menon, and Julia Weeks, my colleagues. What an hour it's been. I have to tell you, Stefan Kaplan here, the Spin It Social Hour. I hope it's been everything that it should have been on LinkedIn as the premiere on LinkedIn this week. Folks, please join us next week for, once again, Stuart Dryden. And once again, thank you to everybody here that's been on the show, from Stefan Falke, Monica Lozano, Patty Fontes, and Alonzo Elias, Rosalind Bernstein, Claudia Steinberg. Goodbye, folks. I'm out of energy and I'm out of everything right now. I'm going to get a bite to eat. Take care, everybody. Thank you.